Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the School of Consciousness. We're going to continue as we began with a few more moments of stillness, a few more moments of mindfulness as we start our Wednesday, and really allowing yourself some space to connect with an intention. So, what we're going to be talking about today is meditation. We're going to do a bit of a deep dive into meditation. I'm going to talk about my philosophy around meditation. I'm going to talk about some different techniques that you can use in your meditation. But the first thing I want to mention is that meditation is a practice of becoming familiar with. So to meditate on something is to become familiar with that thing. And so to start today's session, I invite you to bring an intention to this session. Perhaps that's an intention to become more familiar with yourself, right? To get to know yourself better, to get to know your authentic self, your true self. Or perhaps it's just to be more connected to a feeling of gratitude, be more connected to a feeling of peace, be more connected to a feeling of open-heartedness. Whatever it is, bring that intention into this session. And as we move through this session, allow yourself to become more and more familiar with whatever that is for you, whatever your intention is. So you can close down your eyes and take a few deep breaths, allowing yourself to connect with your intention. Taking a few deep and mindful breaths. And finding some resonance with whatever intention it is that you have. So finding some resonance or some synchronicity with that. See if you can get a feeling of the energy, the emotion behind your intention. What does it feel like? See if you can align yourself with that. And a great way that you can start to develop your meditation practice is simply by focusing on your breath, being mindful of the inhale and being mindful of your exhale. As you breathe in, you might like to bring your attention or your focus to the tip of your nose or your lips and just feel the oxygen coming into the body. Feel the coolness. Maybe it's a very subtle coolness of that fresh air coming into your body. And then when you exhale, notice the warmth of the oxygen leaving the body. The breath leaving the body. And you can allow your breath to soothe yourself. You can allow the breath to unravel, unpack, dissolve any tension you're holding in your body or any tension that you're holding in your mind. With each inhale and each exhale, you have an opportunity to soften, to dissolve yourself a little more. Become a little more relaxed, a little more open, a little more aware Just give yourself some space to become familiar with yourself. This is the practice of meditation, becoming familiar with oneself, getting to know yourself, getting to know your thoughts, your feelings, your body. Getting to know the stories that play out in your head. When you get to know yourself, you're essentially becoming the observer of yourself. To know something, you must be separate from it. In meditation, you start to realize that there is things that can be known, and then there is the knower of the things. So when you start to get to know yourself, you start to get to know your thoughts, you start to get to know your feelings. There's the known, the experience that you're having, what you're knowing, but there's also the knower, and you are the knower. You are the one that knows. And so automatically you create a little bit of a distance between what it is that's known and the knower, the observer, the one that is aware. And so this is what we're doing in meditation. Becoming familiar with ourselves, getting to know ourselves. When we get to know ourselves, we create the distance between the knower and the known, the observer and what's being observed. So you have to have that duality, that separation. And when you can create that space, right, meditation gives you just enough space so that you can actually come out of the story that you're in, come out of the self, come out of all of the thoughts, all of the emotions, all of the different beliefs. Meditation helps you to have a little bit of space between all of that. And in that space of awareness, that's where you find your power. All of your power can be found in that space, right? And this is why meditation is such a powerful practice for life. Because in life, you'll have experiences where there will be some kind of a stimulus and you will have a response to that stimulus. Things happening in the world, things happening in your life, things happening that are stimulating you, and you're going to respond. And if you're very close to the stimulus and you're very in it, connected to it, attached to it, you don't have a lot of time or a lot of space to respond in the best way possible. Often we end up reacting. We're very reactive to our stimulus, very reactive to what happens to us because there's no space. We feel like we need to just react straight away. React, react, react. We think we're in the story. We think it is the most important thing that we just react quickly to what's happening. Meditation teaches us we can create some space between the response and the stimulus. And that's exactly what we're doing when we're getting to know ourselves. We're creating some experience, some space between the experience and the experiencer, between what we're getting to know and the knower of the thing. So really let that sink in. Really let that sink in, because it's transformative. That simple fact is transformative. It will transform your life. And today I want to talk about how we can use meditation to change our lives, how we can use meditation to transform our lives. And what I've just mentioned here, that's it. We could finish this call now. All done. It's all done. That's it. You realize there is a knower, and then there is the known. There is the experience, and then there's the experiencer. Now, I've talked about this before, right? In the School of Consciousness. And so I'm just driving it home again here. The aim of the game is to connect with the awareness of whatever it is you're experiencing, your thoughts, your emotions, your challenges, your problems, even your successes, your wins, your celebrations, all of those things. All of those are things that you experience. They're experiences, and you are experiencing. And this is how meditation can change your life. It gives you the space. It gives you just enough space to disconnect from the story that's happening, or the experience that's happening, and just to become aware of it. And in that awareness, you have a superpower. You have the power to choose. You have the power to respond. So you're not a victim to life anymore. Right? When you're in it, when you're in the experience, when you're in the story, you're a victim to it. It's got you in its grips. When you start to get the hang of meditation, you start to get to know yourself at a deeper level, you start to create some space, you get the ability to respond, you get the ability to choose, you're developing your conscious awareness, as opposed to allowing your life just to run on unconscious behaviors, unconscious reactions, unconscious thoughts, unconscious emotions. Most people do that. Like a very large percentage of the population are just running, and I would even argue that probably everyone is doing that to some level, right? It's probably more of a scale. It's not like if you're doing it and if you're not doing it. It's more like how much are you doing that, right? So it's more like a scale as opposed to a switch. But there is a switch that happens when you start to become aware. You start to move that scale up, right? You're taking a lower level of consciousness, a lower level of awareness that's always reacting to life, that's very close to the experience that they're having of life. And then once you start to develop your conscious awareness, you kind of like just dial that scale up. And then all of a sudden you've got this space between life and your ability to experience it and respond to it and actually create it, to choose what you want. This is the power of meditation. It gives you that space. It gives you that awareness. It gives you that expanded sense of consciousness. And that's so powerful. So powerful. So that's the kind of good introduction to meditation and how you can use it, or not necessarily how you can use it, but the outcomes, the positive outcomes from developing a great relationship with it. But let's actually talk into how to use it. How do we use meditation to change our life? What are some tangible things that we can do to use meditation to change our life? And so I'm going to start with a question that I had from one of my clients yesterday. He said to me, can you sit down, or do you sit down or do you lie down when you're meditating? He goes, can I lie down and meditate, or should I sit up and meditate? Very basic question, and I want to address it because it's important. The kind of meditation that I encourage the most is seated meditation, a seated active meditation. Because some people will go, all right, I want to lie down and meditate, or I just want to sit on my couch and just kind of like, doze off to sleep while I'm meditating. There's many different ways to meditate, I encourage a seated active meditation because when you're asleep, this is what I told my client yesterday. When you're asleep, or when you're lying down, sorry, your body releases a chemical called melatonin that actually puts you to sleep. Because think about it, you've spent your whole life, every time that you go to sleep, you lie down. So as soon as you lie down, your body actually is ready to go to sleep. It prepares itself to go to sleep. It releases specific chemicals to go to sleep. So I don't recommend lying down to meditate because it's very passive and you probably will just fall asleep. It's passive. It's not active and it's not training your focus as much. It's not training your concentration as much. It's lazy, right? To put it simply. So I recommend seated meditation as an active form of meditation. And the reason why is because when you're sitting up, closing down your eyes, you're strengthening your focus, you're strengthening your concentration. When you're sitting up, the idea is, okay, focus on my breath or just focus on the present moment. This is what you want to train in meditation. You want to train your ability to concentrate and stay focused on the present moment. That's the key. Concentration, focus. And I know for a lot of people these days, that's very difficult. And we have a lot of different, neurological issues presenting themselves recently since we have smartphones and computers and everything. We've got a lot of ADHD, we've got a lot of these attention issues, right? Meditation is a training ground for your attention. Attention is not something that's just given, right? It's something that's developed like a muscle. Your brain is a muscle, right? Your brain is literally a muscle. And like any other muscle, if you want to strengthen it, you have to train it. I go to the gym, I do bicep curls, I do my chest, right? I want to get muscly. I have to train. I have to put in the reps. I go 4 times a week and I train the specific muscle groups at least twice a week and lots of reps whenever I'm training. And that's how I'm going to get more muscly, right? If you want to get more focused, more concentrated, if you want to develop better attention, you need to practice. Practice your focus, practice your attention, practice your concentration. It doesn't just come naturally. It just doesn't. People think it comes naturally. It doesn't. You have to train it. Think about children. How's their attention span? It's all over the place. 1 minute they're doing this, next minute they're doing that. 1 minute they're happy, next minute they're sad. Don't really have much control over their emotions. So when you get to an adult, why do we think that we should just have all of that mastered? Why do we think we should just have control of our emotions? Why do we think we should just have control of our mind? It's almost like a very privileged way of thinking to think that, oh, we should just have that. And if I don't have that, there's something wrong with me. That's what's happening these days. People think because they can't focus, because they have attention issues, because they have this, because they have that, there's something wrong with them. But have you done any training for your mind? Have you done any concentration training? Have you done any focus training? Have you done any attention training? I'm sure you've read different books that tell you that you can train your memory. You can get a better memory by training it. There's a book by this guy called Jim Kwik called Limitless, who's pretty popular, talked about how to train your memory, how to get a stronger memory. You have to train it. Want to learn how to read books? Like when you learn how to read, you have to practice. So nothing in life comes for free, right? Or easily without practice, without training. If you want to be good at anything, you have to train. You have to practice. And meditation is the training ground for your attention, for your concentration, for your focus. So this is why we sit up. We're active in it. We're active in holding our attention on the present moment. Now, there's a few different ways you can do this, which I'll get into shortly. But I just wanted to give a bit of a summary first, because this is your training ground. Your meditation practice is your training ground for focus, for concentration, for attention. If you want to be great at those things, which is a very, very, very important skill to have, a very valuable skill to have, the ability to focus. If you want to be good at that, you've got to train, right? You've got to train your mind over and over and over again. You really want to make it almost like a lifestyle thing. Like it's, if you like going to the gym to be healthy, or eating well to be healthy, like you just do that. You do it every day, and it's part of your lifestyle. Meditation's the same thing. You want to be focused, you want to be concentrated, you want to be present, you want to be calm. Train every day. Same thing. It's no different to going to the gym. It's just the gym for your mind, gym for your brain. This is why I have mental health issues as well. Of course, there's more like nuance to the mental health issues, although it all stems from the same issue: lack of concentration, lack of ability to focus and be aware. I really believe the ability to concentrate is one of the most essential skills a human can have. Just the ability to concentrate. It's one of the most important skills to develop. But we never get taught to develop it. And a lot of people say there's actually a war on our attention, right? There's a war on our focus. Like we've got advertising, media, promotions, marketing. Everyone wants your attention. Why do they want your attention? Because it's valuable. Your attention is extremely valuable. And that's why we have a million different companies and businesses that want your attention. TV ads, radio stations, social media platforms, email, everyone wants your attention. Why? Why do they want your attention? Because it's very, very valuable. So you need to start seeing your own attention as something that is valuable. You need to start taking control of your own attention, your own concentration, your own focus. Take it back. Take your power back. That's what you can do with meditation. You take your power back, you take your attention back, you take your concentration back, you take your focus back, you take your life back. Meditation is a training ground for you to get control over your mind. That's all it is. Doesn't need to be any woo-woo, any other stuff like that. It can be if you want it to be, that's fine. And naturally, you'll start to open up to new ways of thinking. But no bullshit, right? That's my approach. No bullshit. So let's just think of it like this. Meditation is a training ground for your mind. It's a place where you can become more familiar with yourself. So I'm going to talk about some different techniques for doing that. I have these 4 pillars that I always talk about when it comes to meditation, right? 4 pillars that have served me over my life. I've been meditating for like 14 years now, 13, 14 years. And these 4 pillars are the most important pillars that if I reflect back on my practice, these 4 pillars are the things that have really stuck with me and that have always been there for me in my meditation practice. The first is your breath. Just the simple act of breathing will always be able to anchor you into the present moment. The breath is like your anchor into the present moment, into your body. That's number 1. Just breathe. And you can just take mindful breaths throughout the day. You don't really need to do breath work. Like I think breath work's great. I've done a lot of different breath work myself, breath work practices. But the OG breath work practice is just mindful breathing. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Mindful breathing. And you can do that all throughout the day. You don't need to sit down or lie down or hyperventilate or anything like that. Just take a few mindful breaths, breathing in, breathing out. Be aware of your breath. You can do it right now. You can do it with your eyes open. You can do it with your eyes closed. Number two is listen. Listen. Just take a moment to listen to what is around you right now. Perhaps you can just hear my voice coming through the speaker, or perhaps you can hear some other things in your world, some birds, some rain, cars. Just listen. Listening can bring you into the present moment. Listening brings you into the here and now. When you hear, you are here. When you hear, you are here. You want to listen without attachment, listen without judgment, listen without creating a story, listen without any expectation of anything. Just a very present listening. That will bring you into the here and now. Another interesting thing about listening is when you listen, you hear a sound and you think it's out there, right? But you're hearing it in here. You listen to the sound and it's out there, but you're hearing it in here, in your body. It seems like it's out there, but you're hearing it in here. So the outside world and the inside world start to kind of blend together when you really listen. The outside world and the inside world, they start to blend together. And you start to realize that the outside world and the inside world, they're not that different. So that's another benefit of listening. Third pillar, we've covered breathing, listening. Third pillar is feeling. Feel your body. What do you feel in your body? Maybe you're a little bit cold right now. Maybe you're a little bit hungry. Perhaps you feel bored, or maybe I'm boring you. Perhaps you feel excited to go and make yourself a coffee after this. Perhaps you feel a bit sore. You went to the gym yesterday, did some hamstring curls, and now your legs are sore. I'm just sharing my experience. Feel. When you become aware of your body, your feelings, very powerful. In meditation as well, you might be sitting there and you might be, okay, I'm aware of my feeling. I'm in the sun. I can feel the heat. Or maybe a memory comes up and you start to feel some emotion. You start to feel sad. You start to feel upset. And then maybe you start to feel compassion. And then maybe you start to feel love. You start to feel acceptance. Go through the whole feeling process, feeling your emotions. Start by feeling the kinesthetic feeling of what's in your body. And then you can move deeper to the emotional part of yourself. Start to feel the emotional part of yourself as well. So feeling, 3, that's a very powerful thing that will come up for you in your meditation. You'll breathe, you'll listen, you'll start to feel. And then number 4 is a bit of a wild card. And it's not it's got a bit of a different energy to it, right? Breathing, listening, feeling, all of that, you're very connected to the here, very connected to the now, very connected to the present. But something that I have utilized my meditation practice for over the years, number 4, is imagination. Imagine. Use your imagination. Use your conscious awareness to think. Everyone says, or everyone thinks meditation is about not thinking, but it's not really about not thinking. It's about becoming aware of your thinking. It's about connecting to something that's beyond the thinking. So, as I mentioned in the beginning of this call, in meditation, you become the knower. You get to know yourself. You get to know your thinking. You get to know your stories. And the only way that you can know it is if you're separate from it. You've gone beyond it. So that's what we're doing in meditation. We're going beyond our thinking. And so to use the imagination in a very productive way, you start to realize you can actually choose your thoughts. I want to imagine a better future for myself. So when you're in the imagination in a productive way, you're not in the old stories. You're not telling yourself, I'm a bad person. I did all of this stuff and I'm bad and I'm never going to get anywhere. Because that is imagination, but it's not very productive imagination. So once you've gotten beyond your thinking mind and you've connected with a higher level of consciousness, then you can use your imagination to essentially dream up a life for yourself. And you can allow inspiring thoughts into your mind, right? And you can imagine and you can dream of a future for yourself where you create whatever it is that you want to create. Now, with the imagination, when it's coming from this inspired place, inspired means in spirit. When you've got inspiring thoughts, inspirational thoughts coming into you, you're imagining these beautiful things for yourself and maybe others in the world. It's very different to running the stories that are keeping you stuck. And you'll know the difference, you'll feel the difference. So I always say in meditation, you can absolutely use your imagination to create a more inspired life for yourself. So I've had to summarize it, right? The whole meditation process that I've just talked about can also be summarized in 3 words. First, you awaken, you wake up. This is the part of the process we talked about in the beginning, realizing that you are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions, you're not the stories. When you get to know yourself, you realize that you are not the self. You don't need to be who you think you are. You wake up, you get to know it, you start to observe it, you become aware of it. You're waking up to a new level of self-awareness. That's the start. That's the waking up, the awakening. And then you go into the next part of healing, right? And so when you're in your meditation or you're breathing or you're listening or you're feeling, all of that is very healing. You start to become aware of certain parts of yourself that are asking to be healed, certain parts of yourself coming up to heal. So that's the second part, healing. And that will happen naturally in your meditation. The work that I do with my coaching clients, we are very direct with the healing process. There's a lot of frameworks, processes, all this kind of stuff where we can just dive straight into the healing work. Although, in full transparency, that will happen naturally if you meditate for long enough. A big part of my healing journey happened without a coach, without mentoring, without help, other than meditation. I would sit in my meditation and I would quieten down my mind enough that a lot of my healing happened just by sitting in meditation. A lot of stuff just came up for me just by sitting in meditation. It was very healing just to sit in meditation. Because when you quieten down your conscious mind in meditation, you quieten down your kind of like active thinking mind. It allows space for subconscious, unconscious memories, emotions, thoughts to come up. And if you're in the meditation process and you're open to that, it can just heal naturally. It can just process naturally. You've given yourself the space to process naturally. But I have found it's very helpful to have someone else helping you, guiding you along that journey. And finally, when you get to the imagination, that's when you start to create. So you awaken, you heal, you create. Creating is using your imagination to create an inspired life, using your inspirational thoughts and your imagination to dream up a better future for yourself. That's the aim of the game. And that's what we can get to with meditation as well. And so that is kind of how meditation can change your life. You wake up, you heal, you create, right? You use your breath, you use your listening, you use your feeling, you use your imagination. You use meditation as a training ground for your attention and for your concentration. You use meditation to practice focus. Because when you are focused, when you are present, you create the space. And in that space, you have the ability to choose and respond to life as opposed to reacting to it. So that's it for today, guys. I know we went a little bit over time. It's 10 minutes over. I appreciate you being here. I hope that was helpful. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.